So, does the university prepare students for future, and if yes, how?
Yes, we do prepare you for the future. We do it in two ways. First, with the technology that we have for our programs, we're really using much of the latest technology. For example, in the construction management, they have simulators that they use.
Well, our College of Technology is very tied with industry. So we have a lot of partnerships with industry. So that's a plus automatically. They host a lot of career fairs and company days. So there's lots of opportunities for networking and interaction with companies and businesses.
We all know that the future of AI and innovation is constantly evolving. And what's better than studying technology in USA with a thriving job market and career opportunities in the tech giants like Google, OpenAI, and Microsoft. And that's why today we have two most important guests from Pittsburgh State University, Dr. Derrel Fincher, faculty at Crossland College of Technology, and Mr. Aaron Hurd, Director at Student Services and Programs. So, Dr. Derrel and Mr. Fincher, could you please introduce yourself for our audience a bit about your, experience or your history in the education industry?
I'm Dr. Derrel Fincher. I teach at the Pittsburgh State University in the Crossland College of Technology. I'm in the School of Technology and Workforce Learning. I teach in the Master of Science and Technology program, and I've been there about 4 years now. But prior to actually joining Pittsburgh State University, like many of our faculty, I actually have a very broad experience. Spent about 15 years doing manufacturing, field engineering, product development. Then I got into K-12 education. I've taught all over the world. Then I ended up working in state government for a while, became an elected representative, and now I'm at Pittsburgh State University sharing my expertise with students.
That is great.
Hello, I'm Aaron Hurt. I'm the director of the International Office at Pittsburgh State University. I've been there for 16 years. It's been a joy to welcome new students. That's a passion of mine, to help students, fulfill their dreams of coming to the U.S. to study. We have a great staff that is dedicated to student success, and it's been a great 16 years at PSU.
That is great. So we have two most senior people from Pittsburgh State University, and I think I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. So for my first question, the university offers so many programs in technology, innovation, and tell us the most popular programs the students, especially Indian students, can opt for.
Well, in the Crossland College of Technology, we have the Master of Science and Technology program. And a lot of students take that because they have a choice of several different emphases. One, of course, is information technology. We have many automotive students who are doing their master's degree. We have graphics management, technology management. For those who may not have a real technical background, but they want to manage technology, that's a good one. And we're starting a new artificial intelligence emphasis for people to be able to understand artificial intelligence and take that artificial intelligence knowledge and go to work for companies with it. Then we also have the Master of Engineering Technology program for students who really want to work in the engineering side of technology, a little bit more hands-on. And we have a lot of students who actually end up going into that. And we're going to be starting a Masters of Construction Management program. So if people are interested in construction management, that's a great one for the graduate program.
Right. I have a question for you, Mr. Aaron. Since you interact with a lot of students on a daily, basis, what are some of the most, trends students look for?
I think quality programs and affordability. And I think really just engaging with the university. A lot of feedback that we get is we actually answer their emails, or we're on WhatsApp with them, helping them through the process. Right. So just that person-to-person interaction, I think, is a big selling point for PSU.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yes, I was talking about the graduate programs, but I don't think I mentioned the undergraduate programs for students who are interested in pursuing an undergraduate degree. We, of course, have automotive technology. I look at all the cars here and think, you're going to need a lot of people who understand automotive technology. Construction management, if they want to understand how to construct and build. We even have wood products manufacturing for people who are interested in knowing how you do architectural wood products and all the fixtures in the house. And that's a very popular program on top of the other ones that we have.
Yeah, so while we're on the topic, we know that the future is constantly evolving and it's just upgrading. So does the university prepare students for future? And if yes, how?
Yes, we do prepare you for the future, and we do it in two ways. First, with the technology that we have for our programs, we're really using much of the latest technology. For example, in the construction management, they have simulators that they use. But the other part is the attitude that we help bring to students. And this is really difficult for students to get into when they've been in college, to finally realize I'm responsible for learning and understanding the future as we go forward. And that's what we try to bring in, is how do you look at the world around you as it exists? How do you then take what we know about the world and use that to help project into the future? And so a lot of what we do is habits of mind. And that's a really difficult problem for students.
Yeah, right. So while you guys interact with students a lot, and since you guys are so senior in this field, what are some of the things students should look for? Suppose if a student from India is planning to study in USA, so what all aspects does he or she consider while choosing a university, a good university for them?
I think doing your research, comparing the universities. There's a lot of similarities in the US, but there's a lot of differences as well. So the areas of the US that you want to study in, like the Midwest, is maybe more affordable. The cost of living is a lot less expensive in the middle of the US versus the coasts. The programs, are they accredited? Check the curriculum, do your homework and research on the programs that you want to study. And then what the job market looks for in those programs. So.
And how does Pittsburgh University stands out among them?
Yeah, well, our College of Technology is very tied with industry. So we have a lot of partnerships with industry. So that's a plus automatically. They host a lot of career fairs and company days. So there's lots of opportunities for networking and interaction with companies and businesses. So I think that's a huge advantage for PSU.
Yeah, that's great. So,
well, one of the other things in the Crossland College of Technology is we actually have advisory boards for most of our programs. For example, in the Master of Science and Technology, I have an advisory board meeting. We're going to be meeting in about 3 weeks. And that's with representatives who are alums, they're members of industry. And our whole goal there is what's driving industry, how do we change? And part of that was our discussion of mentioning artificial intelligence. Not only have we seen that in the world, but this is something that industry really needs. They need people who understand the artificial intelligence programs that we have.
Right. So as you mentioned, students also get hands-on experience since you have a lot of industry partnerships. So does the university also aid them in finding a job after graduation?
Well, there's no guarantee for a job. That's the student's priority, to find the job. But like I mentioned, there's lots of networking opportunities. We have a career services office that's dedicated to that role. They can help with resumes, with mock interviews. So the students have all the tools they need at their disposal at PSU. And then hopefully they can make the right connections in the industry.
Right.
And we also sponsor career fairs, both both throughout Pittsburgh State University, but we also sponsor them in the Crossland College of Technology. And we will have companies lined up and down the halls at tables. We encourage students to practice interviewing, because it's not a full interview, but you find the company you would like to work for, the industry. You look it up. When you go talk to the representative, first time you meet them, you're introducing yourself, you're asking them questions about the company, and they're getting to know you. So that when you do apply for a job, you have somebody to talk to and somebody you can actually connect with. And this is what we encourage students to do. Students who take that opportunity tend to be much more successful in landing jobs.
Yeah, that is right. So while we're on the topic of the jobs, I would like to ask you, what is the current job scenario in the USA? What are the ongoing popular trends for students in the field of technology or in any other field?
I think Dr. Fincher can probably speak to the industry of that area. But in general, my office deals with OPT, the work permission, and through all the programs, many of our students land great jobs in a variety of fields. So I know from that aspect, students are getting good jobs out there after completing the degree. So.
And they're looking, while the job market for traditional information technology isn't quite what it was, where people were thinking, oh, I can program and all I want to do is be a full stack developer. The challenge is that AI has come in and kind of taken over those jobs.
Yeah,
And so what industry is looking for is people who show that they're on the forefront of the technology that we have, are able to demonstrate that. And the next thing is for them to be able to sell themselves about how they can help. For example, when we have all the companies there, they say, but none of them is an IT company. That doesn't matter. Every single company we have out there needs somebody who understands information technology, and they need somebody who can communicate that well with others. And that's what we're looking. That's what we're looking for, and that's what we're trying to develop.
Yeah.
Help students develop there.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, one other thing we talked about. Choosing your university.
Mm-hmm.
I think we also need to remember, choose where you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because when I talk to my students, oh, why did you choose Pittsburgh State University? They love the fact that it's wide open, that it's, sometimes I will take a 10-minute break, and I've had students run home to get a bite to eat in 10 minutes. Where else can you be 10 minutes from where you're actually going to school to be able to do that? They appreciate the fact that it's not crowded all the time, that, it doesn't take long to get from one end of town to the other.
Yep, agreed. So our community is great. It's a smaller community, but it's a safe community and very welcoming to international students. So we've had a long history of welcoming international students to the community. So I agree wholeheartedly that students find home at Pitt State.
Yes, and they want to try something different.
That is absolutely right. The campus life matters, and it really helps in learning. So we all know that just the classroom education is not enough. You need to do things, to experience things, to learn. So what are the facilities available on campus for the students?
Well, we have lots of facilities and amenities on campus. Outside of the technology area, we have like a writing center to help them with writing papers and that kind of thing. We have an English program. If they need a little help with English, academic English, we have those resources available. So there's lots of resources on campus. A lot of professional clubs and associations, social clubs.
Right.
We have an Indian Student Association that's very active on campus. So there's lots of things outside of the classroom that will build their profile.
And I would also like to ask you, since moving to a new country is like a very it's a very big thing for anyone.
Sure.
So what are some of the problems students go through in the initial years of learning?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So we always try to tell students, make friends with the American students or other international students and break free from your country. You can still be friends and have that support, but don't have an Indian experience in the U.S. Have a U.S. experience in the U.S.
That is absolutely right. Yeah.
So we try to foster that. We have great programs. We have a Pitt Pal program where we match an American student with a new international student so they can have an American friend from the very beginning. We also have a host family program. So if they'd like to have an American family to celebrate holidays or festivals, we can match them with an American family as well.
Like on Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving and Christmas. They'll be invited to the family's home to celebrate. So birthdays and all kinds of things. Or go to a PSU football game together.
Yeah.
Just experience life together.
That's actually great and sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
So let me just throw something else in on that. Never underestimate what a big shock it can be to move.
Yeah.
And I think one of the nice things in the MST program, I've lived internationally and I understand, the whole, what happens when you move into a new environment where nothing's the same. And at first it's all great. And then you're going to come to a point where, why did I do this?
Yeah.
But that's okay. You work through it and everybody goes through that. Dr. Goras, who teaches with me, she's from Russia. And so she talks with the students about the whole challenge of doing university in the U.S. because she had to do that. So she's been through exactly the same steps that they're doing. So never underestimate the that there is a challenge in your first semester. Can be difficult, but it's also so very rewarding when they get through it.
That's absolutely true. So I am assuming there are a lot of clubs and societies also on campus for students, like sports club, the extracurricular ones. So could you tell us about that also?
Yeah, there's I think we have over 150 different clubs and associations. The sports clubs are quite popular. We have badminton, volleyball, cricket club. So there's all sorts of activities. And the cool thing is, if we don't have something, the students are welcome to start an association themselves. So, but yeah, there's especially our cultural associations like the International Student Association. They do a lot of programming in the community where they allow students to share their culture with the community. So coming up on March 8th, we're having an international showcase and students will be on stage. We have a huge performing arts center that's just gorgeous. They're going to put on a variety show of all cultures for the community, and that's always a huge success, and everyone looks forward to that every year. So
sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So we all know that studying at in a different country is a huge investment for both parents as well as the student. Parents are investing their hard-earned money, the students are investing their time and everything. So does Pittsburgh State University has any kind of financial aid or scholarships available specifically for international students?
So we do have an international scholarship. Our mascot is the gorilla, so it's called the Gorilla International Scholarship.
Cool.
And so it's based on GPA, on the student's academic performance at the time of admission. So it ranges from $2,000 to $6,000 a year, a scholarship or discount from the tuition rate.
One of the questions about research, we don't have PhD programs in the College of Technology, but we do masters. We're the Master of Science in Technology, but the emphasis is Master of Science. And so for every student through the Master of Science, you're required to take a research methods course. During that time, you actually propose a research and you put together the research you would do. About every semester, the professor who teaches at Dr. Goris ends up in joint publications with students where they actually go and present what their work that they've done at conferences, because this helps the ones who are actually interested in learning how to do research. It gives them that good foundation. For those who wish to go into a PhD, this gives them a really great foundation into getting a leg up on the PhD. And we can talk with students who are interested in getting their doctorates about how to go about it, places to go to. And we've had several who've gone on to get their doctorates at other universities.
Right. So, Dr. Fletcher, apart from the traditional careers and courses, have you noticed any kind of technical skill rising, in the job market for students?
Artificial intelligence, man. If that's one thing, it's artificial intelligence. But also, don't underestimate the technical skill of what we think of as everyday living.
Yeah.
And that means that being fully conversant with the tools that you have and being able to use them. Office productivity. If you can't use your office tools well, it's going to take you forever to do everything that goes with it. And so understand the tools that you have. Be unafraid to jump into new tools. Most students, we require programming if you're in information technology to background. Most students eventually end up doing some sort of programming as they're working, because you just have to be able to be successful with it. We teach students how to use statistical application package. We use R, and we do that. It's a program called R with R Studio. People will know what I'm talking about. But we do teach them how to use this applications package because it's open source and it's something they can take with them to a company who may not understand how to do statistical applications.
Right, that is such a great advice, and being with a good faculty is very important for students. So how is the faculty-student relation there?
Really good. I know all my students by name, and we will talk frequently. I will either talk with them in my office, or we'll just meet up after class and have a conversation about how things are going. Occasionally, and first semester, we understand it can be really tough for students.
Right.
And because we understand what it's like the first semester, we will talk with you and help you move out of whatever challenges you may be having to move forward. And I've done that with several students, and you can see that afterwards, like, oh, thank heavens. Especially, it's so great to see them walk across the stage and to take pictures with them at graduation when we're all dressed in our regalia, to actually see them be able to go forward. So yes, we have a really good relationship with our students.
That's so good. And since you interact with a lot of international students from a lot of different destinations, is there anything unique about Indian students?
Yeah, actually, most of them come in. They come in overall well prepared. They're also very confident, and I appreciate that. Sometimes they're overconfident about what they know. One of the challenges that we do run into with the graduate program is it's so different from an undergraduate program. Now, in the U.S., when people move from undergraduate to graduate, it's a little bit of a shock,
Right.
because the workload's a lot heavier. You're expected to do a lot more what we call synthesis, put things together. But our course, the way we do courses are different. Whereas they might have been taking 8 or 7 or 8 courses during a semester, in a graduate program, a full load is considered to be 3 courses, and 5 courses is the maximum. And so one of the things we talk to with students, especially in their first semester, is don't overload yourself,
Right.
because
Very
you don't want to
important.
end up swamped. And we can talk with you about that. And sometimes we will help them make the decision as they get a little further on, because we have flat rate tuition. You pay for 9 hours, and if you take 10 or 12 hours, that's all you're paying for. We will talk with them. We will help them make decisions about what they should do if they start struggling in a course, because our goal is to help you graduate
Right.
and do what we can to make sure that you graduate.
Very important. That's actually very important. So when a student is traveling from their home country to a different country, parents are mostly concerned about the safety, and students do feel homesick all the time. So if you could shed some light onto that, like how does the university aids them?
Yeah. So Pittsburgh, our community is very safe to start with. It's a smaller community. So I think parents can see that value in sending students to our community
Right.
in regards to safety. And the international office, we host a lot of events to try to combat homesickness. We become a family, honestly, and we take care of each other. So I think we do a good job at kind of helping students through that whole process and journey. So I always say that the international students are so brave. They're the
Right.
bravest people on campus, honestly, to take that step and that journey. So the university does a great job at supporting that effort.
Right. So do you guys also see movies and all? You get interested on?
Movies?
Yeah.
Like what kind of movies?
The college movies. So what I want to ask is,
Yeah.
if you see in the movies, they show the college life, especially the US college life, so flashy and
Yes.
exciting and it's so entertaining. So is it
Yeah.
the reality, or it's just in the movies?
Yes and no, maybe yes and no. So I know one of the things that students always see in movies, even like high school movies, like prom, it's like
Yes.
everybody wants, so we do a prom, and we do other events that you see in the movies just so students can experience those. But yeah, I think some of that may be reality in the movies, and probably some of it is not reality. Yeah.
So it's a half reality and half just fictional.
Yeah.
Well, the students are going to study hard,
Yes.
but they also will find time to play. And the whole idea is helping them learn how to balance that.
True, that is very important,
Yeah.
because you are there to study first,
Yes.
and that's what you're investing in.
Yeah.
So while we are on the topic of investing, studying in US is expensive, we all know. So does students get the ROI they are putting into it after graduating, after their graduation? Like because it's a very big concern for students that we are going there, we'll study, but are we going to make a career out of it or not?
I would think for most students, possibly yes, that they're getting out what they've put in, but it depends.
What I want to ask
Yeah.
is like most of students get a job there, right?
Mhm.
They don't
Yeah.
they don't have to return to
Yeah.
their home country, because
Yeah.
that's what their concern is, that
Yeah.
I'm studying, and then I'll have to return to my home country again to get a job. That it doesn't make any sense.
You're right.
Mhm.
Now, what we do require is, in the Master of Science and Technologies, every international student has to take a course called professional development. It's part of the curriculum. That whole idea is, how do you go about finding a job in the US? How do you sell yourself to employers? What types of jobs are there? How do you go prepare yourself for that?
Right.
We want you to be successful at doing it. But make no mistake, it's also hard work to get a job.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is true.
I've had more than a few in my life. And so going out and making those contacts is something you just have to do. But overall, students are successful with that.
That's very reassuring, actually.
I do want to talk to the parents for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Because mom and dad, I know you love the kids and everything, and I know they get homesick and they talk, but honestly, if you're talking with them at 12 here, it's going to be at noon here, it's going to be midnight there. Please let them get to bed. One of the challenges we have is they stay up too late, then they have trouble making their 8 a.m. class, and they're tired, they're not getting things done. So you stay up late, let them talk to you when it's a decent hour in Pittsburgh.
So they get on long calls with parents.
Yes. So yeah.
So
We have
Indian
really good
parents are
internet,
actually
so-
very protective and very, what do I say? What's the word for that? They are so like protective about their kids and all. Like, is my kid is eating well or not? Is he sleeping well or not?
Oh. Well, I understand. Our kids went through college.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. It's hard. But as a parent myself, whose kids went through college, I want my students to have the same support my children had from their professors.
Right. That's very important as well. So now we are about to conclude the conversation. But before that, I would like to ask if there are any kind of advice or tips, you can get to the Indian students who are planning to apply for the 2025 intake.
Well, I think apply early. I think with everything, there's a process to it. So the sooner you start, the better. And ask lots of questions. The international office, we're available to assist students. So if there's questions, they're welcome to contact us directly. So I think that's, one piece of advice is just to start early and ask a lot of questions.
Right. We would love to hear from you as
Yes.
well.
Well, for our particular program, as I mentioned, we have a new emphasis in Master's Science in Artificial Intelligence in the MST program. We're in the process of what's called legislating. And legislation for programs means we've got to go through the graduate council and everything else. And that will start next fall, but it's not up for application yet. So for our students, that would just be apply as no emphasis. And we will switch you over to that when we get there.
So students also have to go through their visa interviews for USA. So I think they would love to get a few tips for that as well from you guys.
Well, I think be prepared. Learn about the program you've applied to and been admitted to. Just do your research, know the curriculum. Just learn everything you need to know about the university in advance. Be confident in your answers. I always tell students, speak from the heart,
Right.
not from a script. So, tell your passion. The visa officer wants to know your passion. Why do you want to study in the U.S.? What are your dreams? And tell it from the heart. And just be confident, and I know you'll be successful.
Right. Since the introduction of the AI in the education world and in the world entirely, have you seen any kind of changes, or what changes have you noticed in the learning process of these students?
You mean, since some students have tried to turn in some AI work as their own, what has happened with the advent of AI? And when it came out, it really came out big, starting late 2022. I have incorporated AI into my courses. And as I tell students, one of the things you can do with AI is you can actually use that as your thought partner.
Right.
But what that means is when I ask you to go out and do research and do some proposals, it's like having a little brainstorming friend to work with you and to work through this. But what actually ends up that you turn in should not contain any AI content in it. I use AI a lot. I use it to help when I'm planning lessons. I use it if I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase something. If there's something I'm a little bit unfamiliar with, I'll ask it. But using it is also very difficult to do it well. And one of the challenges we've had with AI is people think it will do everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It only does what you ask it to. And about half the time, well, maybe a little less than half the time, it will tell you something that's not wrong, not right, or it'll lead you down the wrong path. And part of what we're trying to teach students is how to differentiate that, how to understand when AI is working for you and when it's giving you wrong information.
Right. So, in your opinion, who are like which is better, the traditional students or the AI students?
I think what's happened is everybody's kind of shifting into the AI student, and our goal is to make sure that you're using it so it actually helps you learn.
Right.
It's too easy to lean on AI as a crutch. I mean, programming. Those students who thought they wanted to be full stack programmers, got news for you. AI is taking care of that for you. But you need people who know how to talk to AI and put it together. And that's what we're working on with it. Students who don't know how to use AI and don't use it routinely as a thought partner are going to end up being behind.
Right.
So we're actually having a symposium next month or month after next at Pittsburgh State University on the uses of AI within our courses and how we're going to use it. Just wax a little bit lengthy here. AI kind of changes how we think and how we interact.
True.
And it builds different ways of learning. In some ways, it's like calculators, right? You know, when calculators came out, there's a big debate. Well, you know, people don't know how to do calculations. What will they do with heavens? Anybody here ever use a slide rule?
Right.
I mean, people thought, oh, they'll lose decimal places. What's happened is we've learned to adapt with them and use them to actually do problems that are much more difficult that we could not have solved before.
Right.
And so
True.
these are tools that help us go further, reach longer, and make better decisions for the future.
That is absolutely true. So it was lovely talking to you, Dr. Darren and Mr. Aaron. We got to know a lot of things about the US education, about the future ready courses, the AI, as well as the university and the campus life and how it's going to be like for the students. And I think this episode is going to help a lot of students learn new things about the US education, because we're always confused that we're going there, what are we going to expect, is it going to be like this or that? So this is very helpful, and thank you so much for taking time and coming to our show. And it was lovely having you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really great to be here, and I encourage you to apply, come find out the great things you can do in Guerrilla Country.
Yep. Our application is still open for the fall intake. We closed the application on June 1st, so you're welcome. There's plenty of time to still apply and start the process. So we look forward to welcoming you at Pittsburgh State University.
And to our audience, if you guys have any questions regarding the application, feel free to reach out to AECC, drop a comment, or visit your nearest AECC branch. Our counselors are always ready to help you. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more such podcasts.
Okay, I want to add just one more thing.
Yeah.
One of the questions we often get has to do with English when students come in. In the Master of Science and Technology program, we understand that we have excellent students who may not be the strongest in English. We encourage people to apply, but one of the things that we do that's very helpful is every student who comes in, regardless of what your test scores are, is we actually do some English testing when they come there.
Right.
And if you're a little bit weak, we want you to be successful in your graduate program. It means you have to be able to read at a high level, communicate at a high level, write at a very high level, graduate level. And so we will actually be able to put you in courses that help you with this while you're pursuing your graduate program. Turns out to be very successful for the students, and it makes them much more employable at the end.
That's great, and thank you so much for such insightful advice.